Sarah's hands trembled as she stared at the boy standing in the doorway of what was supposed to be her empty ranch house. He couldn't have been more than 12, with a dirt-streaked face and hollow eyes that had seen too much. He was holding a rusted kitchen knife like it was the only thing keeping him alive. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the abandoned property she bought for $1 just hours ago. In that frozen moment, she realized the paperwork had failed to mention the most important detail. This place came with a terrified child who whispered 5 words that would shatter everything she thought she knew. Please don't tell them I am here. But let me take you back to where this nightmare really began. Because what Sarah discovered in the following hours wasn't just about a hidden boy. It was about a truth so devastating that it would force her to choose between her own safety and doing what was right, even if it meant losing everything. 24 hours earlier, Sarah Mitchell was 32, and her nurse drowning in medical school debt and desperate for a miracle. It was 2 a.m., and she was scrolling through a rural property auction website, the kind of thing you do when you can't sleep because your student loan payment is looming. And then she saw it. Whispering Pines Ranch, starting bid, $1. $1 for an entire ranch. Her first thought was, it has to be a scam. Her second thought was, what do I have to lose? $1 and a dream were about all she had left. The listing was sparse. 160 acres in rural New Mexico, a house, a barn. The photos showed a place that had seen better days, but the bones were good. The listing said as is, nitrogen monoxide inspections. The fine print mentioned legal complications resolved, but Sarah barely glanced at it. She was too busy dreaming. If she could fix this place up, she could sell it and finally get out of debt. She placed her bid, $1. 26 minutes later, she'd won. Sitting in her tiny apartment, she wondered if she'd just made the best or worst decision of her life. The 6-hour drive from Phoenix gave her plenty of time to second-guess herself. The roads got smaller and smaller until she was bouncing along a dirt track. Cell service disappeared completely. Just as she was starting to worry, she crested a hill and saw it. Whispering Pines Ranch spread out below her, isolated and hauntingly beautiful. The house was larger than she expected. The air was silent, filled with the sound of wind and birds. For the first time in a long time, Sarah felt something like hope. The front door creaked open into a house that was a time capsule from the 70s. Dust motes danced in the sunlight. Sarah spent the next hour exploring. The house was solid, the roof seemed okay. Even the plumbing worked, though the water ran rust-red at first. It was upstairs, in the master bedroom, that she found the first strange thing. The room had been cleaned recently. While the rest of the house was covered in dust, this room was spotless. The bed was made with military precision, and on the nightstand sat a glass of water that couldn't have been there more than a day or two. Her skin prickled. The property was supposed to have been vacant for 3 years. So who made the bed? Who left the water? As she stared at the glass, she heard it, a sound from downstairs, a creak of floorboards, the sound of weight shifting. Hello? She called out, her voice shaky. I'm the new owner. The silence that answered was different. It was the silence of someone holding their breath. Her nurse training kicked in. She pulled out her phone, remembered she had no service, and cursed. Grabbing her keys with the pepper spray, she moved toward the stairs. I'm calling the police. She lied, her voice louder than she felt. You have 10 seconds to show yourself. At 8 seconds, she heard running footsteps moving toward the back of the house. Sarah raced down the stairs and through the kitchen, yanking the back door open just in time to see him. A boy, standing in the overgrown yard, holding a kitchen knife. His clothes were too big. His face was streaked with dirt, but it was his eyes that stopped her cold. They were ancient eyes in a child's face, filled with a terror so absolute it made her breath catch. For a long moment, they just stared at each other. The boy was shaking. Hey, Sarah said softly, using the same voice she used with scared patience. It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. Stay back. He croaked. Okay. I'm staying right here, .c. Sarah held up her empty hands. My name's Sarah. I just bought this place. I didn't know anyone was here. Do you live here? Something flickered across his face. I can't leave, he said finally. They'll find me. Who will find you? The boy's grip on the knife tightened. You don't understand. You bought this place, which means you're part of it now, which means they'll come for you too. A chill ran down Sarah's spine. Part of what? Who's coming? The people who owned this ranch before, he said, his voice trembling. The people who… He stopped, his face pale. You really don't know what this place is. Then tell me, Sarah pleaded. The boy let out a hollow laugh. Figure it out. Lady, you just bought a crime scene for $1. And the only reason it was so cheap is because everyone who knows the truth is either dead or running, just like me. What crime? What happened here? His eyes met hers, and Sarah saw a terrible knowledge in them. This place was never just a ranch, he said quietly. The previous owners, they were involved in something illegal. My family found out what was happening, and they made sure my family couldn't tell anyone. Your family, where are they? The boy's silence was the only answer she needed. I'm the only one who got away, he whispered. I've been hiding here for weeks, but they never stopped looking. And now you're here. Suddenly, his head jerked toward the dirt road. Do you hear that? Faintly, in the distance, was the sound of an engine. A vehicle was approaching. The boy's face went white. They're here. They found out about the sale. They're coming to make sure there's no evidence left. Evidence of what? The boy dropped the knife and rushed toward her, his face desperate. Please don't tell them I'm here. Hide me. If they find me, they'll kill me. And then they'll kill you too, because you've seen me. The engine was getting closer. Please, he whispered again, tears cutting tracks through the dirt on his face. Every instinct screamed at Sarah to run, but she looked at this terrified child and her nurse's oath echoed in her head. First, do no harm. Inside, she said quickly. Now, as they ran for the house, the boy said, you don't understand. Once you help me, you can't undo it. You'll be part of this. The vehicle was close now. Sarah could see dust rising from the road. What were they doing here? She demanded. The boy's voice was barely a whisper. Money laundering, drug operations, things that left bodies buried on this land. My parents worked here. They saw too much. As a black SUV with tinted windows crested the hill and stopped in front of the house, Sarah realized her $1 bargain had bought her something far more expensive than property. It had bought her a terrible, irreversible choice. Help this boy and become a target, or turn him over and become an accomplice. Two doors opened. The boy looked at her with those ancient, terrified eyes and whispered one last time, please don't tell them I'm here. And Sarah Mitchell, the nurse with a $1 ranch, had exactly 3 seconds to decide who she was going to be for the rest of her life. Thank you so much for watching. If you're as hooked as I am, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. See you in the next video.